Welcome back to Candy's Classic Game Shrine, everyone. And today on Tinker Time DIY, I'm going to do something a little different and show you guys how I make some of my custom amiibo. What you see on the left-hand side here is what you start out with, and this here on the right side is the finished product. I was going for the Virtual Boy Wario Land look. Now, at first glance, it looks just like a paint job, which in part, for the most part, it is. But if you notice here, the hats on Wario are different. Wario Land 1 and Virtual Boy Wario Land were the two instances where Wario wore a different hat. So I figured it would be a little bit more special to give him the proper hat rather than just doing a palette swap. So without further ado, let's get started. So before you guys start customizing your amiibo, you're going to need to grab a few things. You're going to need some paint brushes with some assorted tips. I recommend grabbing a fine tip and a broad tip for different parts of the amiibo and for grabbing certain details better. You're going to need some acrylic paint. This is a glossy acrylic paint from the brand Testers. I highly recommend this brand. It works really well with painting amiibo. It's not too thick a paint. You don't have to thin it really. Next up, you're going to need a dish to put some acetone in, or nail polish remover. This is going to be used to dab your brushes in once you've got paint on them and would like to clean them. Same with the paper towels, that's to clean up messes and to wipe off your brushes as well. The next bit you're going to want are some tools like these. They're like spudgers, wedgers. This is for disassembling the amiibo, and it can also be used as sculpting tools for some fine details. Now, as far as the sculpting goes, I highly recommend using a two-part epoxy because unlike the Sculpey and other clays that need to be baked or air-dried, they tend to crack a lot. The epoxy does not crack. It's more like dealing with a terracotta clay, and it dries really hard just through air. I've dropped my amiibo tons of times, and none of them have cracked or broken. A thing to note about the epoxy, you only have a few hours to work with it, so only mix it when you're ready to sculpt. Now, another thing you need on your list, obviously, you need an amiibo. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing here? Now, something that's optional is an amiibo box. You're going to need the box if you want to put your custom amiibo back in the box. And I'll show you some tips on how I do that. Okay, to start off customizing this particular amiibo, I'm going to remove his hat here with a tool like a pick or a spudger, but probably going to use a pick because it's a bit sturdier than this little spudger here. Basically what you're going to do is take this tool, I'm going to use the flat head here and put it under the hat and pry it up as much as I can until the hat begins to pop up. Now to do Wario's custom hat, I'm mixing two parts of epoxy. There's this one here, and you mix a bit of it here with a bit of this. I wish I had some special way to make these hats that I could share with you all, but I honestly just looked at a few pictures and sprites from the game and recreated it by hand. Use your imagination, you'll be fine. Alrighty, this is what I was able to come up with. It's still a little bit wet, you'll see. But this is the best I could do to make Wario's second hat. As you can see, it's still a little bit wet here, but that is basically it. Here it is for comparison. Not too bad if I say so myself. So I started working on Wario's paint job. As you can see, I started the black. There's a bit more detail with it. He's supposed to look like this Wario here from the Virtual Boy Wario Land game, at least when I'm done with him anyway. Next up is painting the red because it's pretty much all that's left. And I guess I'll check back in when I'm done. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am finished with my custom Virtual Boy Wario Land amiibo. He is supposed to look similar to the guy back here. The glare on my screen, I'm sure, is not helping. Here's a colored picture of him on the left with the hat. the hat picture on the left is basically the one I used to fabricate the hat. And let me get a closer look for you all. Sorry about the glare. He's very shiny. So when you're ready to do your amiibo box, what you're going to want to do for the front and back is peel away the glossy part of the backing. I usually find a corner and use my nails to pry it apart. It's not always easy, so you might have to try a few different spots. And now that you have an exposed corner, you can just gently peel away. Now you're going to notice there's some bits left behind, but the same rules apply. Just use your fingernail and just peel them away. I chose an awful time to have short nails. But yeah, they should peel off very simply like this. And when you're finished, you should have something like this. So in my experience, the best way to make an amiibo box is looking on the internet and finding a template that somebody had uploaded and working from that template. You're going to need a photo editing software, something like Photoshop. It does get expensive, however, there are free trials that you can sign up for on Adobe's website. There's also an in-browser photo editor similar to Photoshop called Pixlr, Pixlr. It's free, it does the job, and it can open Photoshop files, so it does pretty well for people on a budget. Right now I'm running Photoshop and using some templates that I found online. I will pull them up for you. This one I found through DeviantArt. Sorry, my mother's messaging me. Let's see. You basically just type in oh my goodness, amiibo box template. As long as you're not a dummy like me and misspell things. Basically, you're going to type that in, and the first 3 links that show up are going to be the ones you want. Personally, I like the one here and the one here. So I'll show you them both. This is the one that I have open right now. Basically, in order to download it, the person has you follow a link here, which brings you here, and then you click download and it goes to your download file, and you can open it up in Photoshop or Pixlr or whatever photo program you have. Same applies with this one. This is an older link. However, if you follow this link in their description and go to download, again, this will give you another template, which I have open. Here. Basically, when you download them and open them up into the respective photo editing program, you're going to have a whole bunch of different options here that you can work with. You just click the arrows to expand them. Basically, you can hide certain things, add certain things, make different colors for things, etc. I really can't tell you exactly how to make it. It all depends on your imagination, your creativity, and your skills with the program. Here, I will give you a quick look into the one that I have been making for this box. There's a few different ones, and I just can't decide which one I would like to use as the final. Now the coloring is going to be a little off because you're looking at my computer screen through a camera. It probably looks a little bit more orange than it should, Let me see if that helps. No, not really. Okay, so basically I took the one that you see, let me see if I can get it correctly. I basically took this, the Super Mario Land line of amiibo, and, oh, this is the back that I created, and modified it to look like this using the sprite from the game. Well, it's not really the sprite, it's the official image that I've recolored in black and red to match the Virtual Boy. I matched the Virtual Boy font up here and made that as my replacement logo, and more or less just typed in his name here. Nothing too fancy, but that's one of the things. Another option that I had was going for the full color mode, which is this one. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. I'll probably get some tips from people online and see what they think. Now, you saw me accidentally click on this. This is the back panel that I created. Basically, it's just a scan of the original back. You can find a template of it online, just like I did the other one. And I just added a new bar here, some screenshots from the game, the name of the game that the amiibo was inspired from, and, at least in my opinion, a line stating it's the best Virtual Boy game ever made. Now, one way to notice if this is mine that somebody has stolen, I've added a secret serial code in here. Up here, I can zoom in for you so you can all see. It's VUE, that's Nintendo's code for the Virtual Boy, and then CCG-S is Candi's Classic Game Shrine. Then VBWL is Virtual Boy Wario Land. NTD is Nintendo. A2 is Amiibo version 2. So I know I put way too much thought into that, but this is what I did. Now, a tip for anyone looking for images to use for their panels, always look for an image with a transparent background. It'll make your job 100 times easier. To make sure they're transparent, usually images with a .png extension will have a transparent background. It usually looks like a checkerboard behind it when you look on Google. So this is more or less what it is. When you're comfortable with the layout, you print it on a suitable cardstock or paper, whichever you'd like to use. My cat is saying hello. And then you take a glue stick, after you've cut it out, of course. Heavily glue stick the cardboard, place the new label on top, and set it between some books or a hard surface so it dries flat. Okay, everyone, now that you've printed out everything, cut it out, and glued it, let it dry between some books or something, this is what it should look like, at least roughly. What you're going to do is you're going to take your backing and this and this. Let me make a note of this now. You'll notice that the back piece of the plastic is gone here. Because of Wario's hat, it no longer fit. I tried to melt it with a lighter to mold it around it, but it just wasn't working out how I wanted it to, so I just snipped it off with some scissors. But I'm going to keep the bottom half, use it to slide it in the bottom of the box. It keeps Wario in place when he's inside. What you're gonna do, we don't need a glue stick anymore. You're gonna grab a crazy glue or a super glue, and you're going to put a little bit along the sides here, and then press it against the amiibo box. What you're gonna wanna do when you line it up, put it on the floor there, or on your table, and line it up like this. Before I go ahead and crazy glue this together, I want to note anyone that winds up with leftover stuff from soaking this in hot water and they find like there's still ink left over from the paper, what you can do is take a little bit of nail polish remover, and I mean a little bit, on a Q-tip, and just gently rub the edges and the paint will come off. But don't use too much or else it'll eat the plastic. Okay everyone, we finally finished the amiibo and it's boxed. Let me give you guys a quick look. Okay, now to find a place to put this. Think you'll go really nice right here. Hey everyone, just want to thank you all for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time guys, take care. Yeah, this is perfect. Make sure you're all brushed off and clean. And I think you'll go very nicely right there. Beautiful. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my Patreon supporter, the SideQuest Gamer. Thank you so much for your support. And if anyone else would like to become a Patreon supporter of mine, the link is in the description below.